What's up, boys?
How you doing?
Tim Sisson, Matt Baden.
Good morning.
First Home Mortgage. Welcome to the fucking podcast, man.
I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Y'all are the first ones
you,
to be back from our seasonal run on the podcast thing, man. We've taken a little hiatus from it, but
Yeah. Is this season 2?
season 2 or 3. What is it, Jimmy?
2 that I've been a part of. I don't know.
Yeah.
We're at probably 3.
It kind of comes in waves, man.
Yeah. Season premiere of the Lebonsky podcast.
Yeah. All right, guys. So tell us a little about yourself, what you do, where you're located, stuff like that.
Well, first of all, Matt and I have known the two of you for a long time. Went to school together, so really excited to see how your business has grown. It's been really cool. But we're with First Home Mortgage. We're a fairly big mortgage company here in the state of Maryland. We kind of dominate market share here. We have our office in Dunkirk. I technically manage that branch, but you got guys like Matt working for you. You don't have to manage much. He's great at what he does. So we just focus on our community here with the mortgage business and real estate business. We're very in tune to what's going on here locally.
Good.
I call him boss as often as I can to make him feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It does feel weird.
So how's the manager role work?
I mean,
What do you mean, like you're technically the manager, but not really?
so I am the branch manager of Dunkirk, and we have 16 employees,
Okay.
9 of which are loan officers. So you're talking about people that you eat what you kill. If you bring in a loan, you get paid on it. If not, you don't get paid.
Right.
So there is an inherent pressure on me to make sure I'm guiding these people to make money, and support their families. But for the most part, once you train them up and teach them how to do this business, they kind of are their own little enterprises, and it's just overseeing and making sure that they're running their business properly and keeping their reputation always at the forefront. That's big, man. Reputation is absolutely huge.
Oh, yeah, 100%, man.
So the day-to-day is not, there's nothing to micromanage necessarily. I have good people working for me. It's, lots of mats.
I'm just curious how like the home mortgage industry works. So you have 15 or 16 lenders that are all in there doing their thing. Everybody puts in their share to kind of pay the bills, like the overhead of the office, or how does that work?
Well, you have a mortgage loan that you're lending somebody, let's say $500,000, right? There's several different loan programs in which they can pursue. A mortgage note is something that's sold on Wall Street, and there's a premium that's given back to your company. So once you package it and ship it off, and it's a $500,000 loan at 6.25% interest, it's sold off to a bank or an investor, or we keep it and we make residual interest payments on that, and there's a value to it. So the numbers game of a P&L of a mortgage company, very complicated, because you're talking about stuff that's way over my head. Now I know a lot more about it now than I always did, but I mean, that's the deal, is like you price a certain loan and you say, I can offer it at this interest rate. There's a slight margin back and forth as to whether or not you have a softness to that and you can make concessions. Just like with you, if you say, hey, this job is going to cost me X, this is my bottom line to get that job done, I really can't go past that. But every now and then you'll do it for a relationship. You'll do it to maybe gain more business. That's the whole idea.
100%. And we play that game all the time, man. But I hate doing that, though, just to do it, to stay busy, because that becomes a slippery slope. Dude.
It is.
Because then people are like, oh, well, that must be like the going rate or like the industry standard. And then their neighbors start calling you about it. And it's like, man, so like you got to be really selective on the ones that you do at cost.
Yeah.
And it works out sometimes, but then other times it's like, no, we can't do that.
We have
And
to
I
make
tell
money.
Jimmy and, the sales guys all the time, like, not every job's a good job. Not every customer's a good customer. Like, you got to be okay walking away from it. Because in my world, for some reason, people are completely open to negotiating all the time. Where, like, with you guys, it's like, look, guys, that's just a fucking rate. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like with what I do, people are like, oh, well, can you come down like $1,000? I'm like, shit,
Well, you have employees to feed. They have families to feed. You have a bottom line to kind of attest to, but you also want to stay busy. You want to do business in the community and things like. So it is, again, that's probably a big part of my job, is deciding when and if we make those types of decisions. And we have people like Matt working for you. They kind of make the right decision most of the time.
Yeah.
And Matt came from a different background, so kind of learning this side of things is I mean, he's gotten really good at it, but compare and contrast like what you did before and what you do now and the decisions that you have to make, it's a much different idea, right?
Yeah, I mean, my decisions have a much greater impact on the bigger cause of the company, right? So, I used to be a nurse. My whole focus was the patient at that point, right?
Right.
The hospital wanted you to do surgeries quicker, faster, better every single day.
Hospitals are businesses, brother. For sure.
And 100%. And that's where I always thought that I was going to go, was be like a CNO of a hospital, like the chief nursing officer of a hospital, the business side of it. And as I got closer and closer to a lot of that type of stuff, I really realized how much of a business it is and how little they do care about the staff in essence, and even sometimes the patients, because it was like, we just want to do this faster so we get more surgeries and make more money. And I'm like, well, if this surgery takes an extra 30 minutes because we have to take care of this patient, well, screw you. Like, I care about the patient. So I got to a point where I was like, I know I can't become that person. I care too much about the patients. I care too much about the staff. I was charge nurse at Anne Arundel Medical Center for a little while in the OR, and we would lose staff for $1 more an hour to go to a surgery center. And I'm like, we can't keep this person for $1 more an hour. It's going to take us 5 hires to find somebody half as good as this person.
Dude, I play that game a lot.
So frustrating. So frustrating. And then the doctors are bitching at me because they got some shitty nurse in their OR. And I'm like, sorry, that's what we got. They wouldn't pay this person $1 more an hour. Like, so it was a struggle, but realized that I just, I couldn't see myself with the upward movement that I wanted in that role. And it's kind of funny because I was just kind of with these guys. We're all in the same fantasy football league we've been in since middle school or high school, and texting them all. I'm like, I think I'm over this nursing thing. I don't know if I can do this anymore. Or what do I want to do? And Tim kind of just said, hey, come in and talk to me and Gary Pierpont, our original branch manager back then. And I think you could be good at this. And I just, at that point, I was kind of open. I was like, all right, I trust him. I see he's doing well. I think I respect him. And if he thinks I can be good at something, I can believe it. I can bet on myself kind of thing to get into something completely different. I mean, I went to school to be a doctor, a biochemistry degree. I don't have a degree in mortgages.
Yeah, like a finance degree.
Yeah, I've bought a house before, but I didn't pay any attention to it because.
What is the prerequisite for what y'all do? I mean, bachelor's degree or
nothing. That's the thing. It's kind of.
So you just pick people up.
It's
like,
OJT.
We joke all the time, like when we hire people, they're like, it's like picking up a hitchhiker.
Yeah.
And you start, hey man, you need a job? Yep, come on in, bud.
Well, you've been in this industry long enough that you can kind of look and see, does that person have the right overall makeup for the role I'm looking for, or can I grow that? And Matt, I hate to use the term gift of gab because it kind of has the negative connotation to it, but I knew Matt was a good communicator. He spoke well. You just have to kind of drive home the nuts and bolts of a mortgage, but also kind of teach them the caring side of a relationship building. That's a big part of it, and he had that. It's funny, you cannot measure the fire in the belly for a salesperson because you'll see somebody and go, that person's got it, and then they're just not motivated. Or you'll find somebody that you go, there's no chance they're going to be very successful in this, but they just grind, dude. So, I mean, for you hope that you bat like, a major league hitter and hit 300 with your successes, and every 3 out of 10 succeed. You hope it exceeds that, but that might be overall the success rate of a mortgage loan officer. A lot of people get in because they think the money's good, and they get out because it's tough. It really is hard.
Dude, that's like the whole real estate world, though, bud.
Yeah.
Like there's like new real estate agents that pop up like every weekend.
That's half the challenge for us. Is just like you said, when we're trying to meet new partners, I compare it to like drafting a quarterback. Like literally, you first round draft picks, you hit on 1 out of 20.
Yeah,
a lot of them aren't good, but you got to try.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm 0 for 4 on hiring salesmen here.
No, it's just the industry, and we bitch about our industry, but I think it's just across the board. Like you were just saying it with the nurses and that whole thing having a high turnover rate. Being able to, like, no prerequisite, no education requirements to do what y'all are doing now. And I'm sure you have some sort of a turnover rate. People come in and be like, oh, this shit isn't for me, and then just getting out of it.
So,
or thinking it's going to be easier than what it actually is to make money.
That's the big piece of it. Now, I will say,
I think that's the real estate thing too, man. I think a lot of people think, oh, well, dude, it's easy as shit sell houses. But, dude, you got to really grind and put yourself out there to sell a shitload of houses.
To make an actual career out of it.
Yeah. No doubt.
Anybody can sell their mom's house because their mom's going to let them sell their own house, right?
Yeah.
But go go meet a random person and get them to trust you to
Yeah.
sell their house.
Doing nights and
A lot
weekends,
harder.
doing the networking, doing social media, putting your shit out there, putting yourself out there. Like it's
a grind, man. And, we have.
it's a grind to be successful at it, you know?
True. Yeah. I mean, we have the ability to kind of, we pre-qualify somebody. We make sure that they can qualify for the financing and looking for it, but we don't have to show houses. We don't have to be on the weekends driving to 15 different properties and then they say, no, I don't like any of them. And you come up empty. We're just the one that sends the pre-approval letter when they said they're ready to make an offer. So we do have an advantage that from that standpoint over a real estate agent that while our job is hard, at least it's centralized to the office or at home. We don't have to be just hitting the streets constantly. Those real estate agents that do a lot of business, they work their asses off. They really do.
That's kind of how my position's set up. It's like that. You can go give 800 estimates, and the majority, I would say like 20 to 30% closing rate on that.
Mm-hmm.
We're higher than that, but that's probably because I think I'm better at it than most people. But there is a lot of, you're never centralized. It's always on the road doing that. That part definitely kind of sucks.
Depreciating vehicles, right, Gene? That's what you're doing.
I've got 60,000 miles on that truck, and he just bought it for me in November last year.
That's wild, man.
And that truck's a fucking small truck.
Yeah.
Like 40 grand for a Tacoma's chump change compared to some of the shit I got around here, dude. Like,
Yeah.
and it's just like the repairs on is nonstop. Because you're paying for preventative maintenance, but then you're also paying for repairs, and it's never ending, dude.
I think about that all the time. When you're giving an estimate, how many of those people are getting two others? We deal with that too. If they're getting one from us, they're also probably Googling and going to
So, pretty
Rocket
much-
Mortgage or whatever.
Pretty much every single one besides my return customers.
Yeah.
And we're never the cheapest. We're not the cheapest.
We don't try to sell it people to be as you're getting the cheapest service out there.
No.
I don't want to be the cheap. Never claim to be the cheapest, dude.
No, it's usually a lot of
man,
issues with that.
You're paying for
Quality.
a quality service, and not just quality work, but a quality customer service experience too. You know, like there's a lot of people in my industry that don't have salesmen that are going to communicate with you, texting you back at 9:30 at night, helping you pick out colors for your fucking patio. Like that's something to be said there, dude. You know, like
Yeah.
You got to grind.
and
in
that's
that
the part of
position.
the sales aspect is you got to tell people like, hey, this is what you're paying for. Like, you got to sell your services as a professional. You know, like
And I feel like it's selling yourself too.
Yeah.
When you're there, like, I mean, for a lot of, $70,000 patio is not like a quick decision that you make overnight, especially when just using that example for metrics, because we just sold one for that. That was a pretty big project. And the guy said, basically we were $10,000, $15,000 over the next guy. And at that point, when somebody says that to me, I love it as a salesman. Cause I'm like, yep, I'm going to pitch you. And this is the best, easiest pitch I can give. And that's why you should bet on us, why we're so much better than everybody else, why we are more expensive than other people. I love that because if I get that opportunity, you already started thinking about using me.
Oh, yeah.
now with you guys and what you do you have that room to kind of play, or do you just kind of are stuck with like the going rate, the market rates at that time?
Yeah, it's a complicated, decision to make when somebody comes to you and say, well, I got this quote online from XYZ lender in Missouri. So your first attempt is to really support your own claim of being a local lender and supportive of them and being able to work nights and weekends and things of that sort, which is all very true. But just like you have a margin that you kind of have a little bit of give and take to. But again, the bottom line is very important, and we want to make sure the reason why we're in the business for 35 years, this company that we work for, is that because we have good salespeople. But yeah, there is a little bit of wiggle room. We just try to mitigate that as often as possible. But I'm just like you. I love that opportunity to say, listen, I have a question for you. Do you shop at Target or Dollar General? And the amount of people that will say I shop at Target, it's like, well, over 30 years, you're shopping at Target versus Dollar General is going to cost you X amount of dollars. Why do you do that? Because the quality is there. The quality of customer service is there. So people sort of reveal stuff about themselves when they start to think deeper about it. It's not just a mortgage. It's like, there's clients that we work with for 2 years before they buy a house, man. And it's back and forth, and it's weekends, and it's evenings. And they don't get that experience elsewhere,
Yeah.
That was going to be one of my questions for you guys is when you're talking about potential customers, does somebody just show up and say, like, I know you guys, and I say, hey, Tim, Matt, I'm looking for a new house. Let's go. Like, where do I start? Where's my mortgage? Like, all that stuff from somebody that I don't know a whole lot about mortgages. I don't know a whole lot about real estate. I look on Zillow a lot. but I'm not really serious about purchasing most of the time. Like if I was serious about purchasing, if I came to you, do you get that a lot where somebody's like, hey, guys, I want to buy a house. Like, where do I start?
Yeah, and I'll let you go too, but the more things change, the more they stay the same for me. I say, come to the office. Let's carve out 45 minutes or an hour, because I don't care if we can do it online. I don't care if we can do it virtually. I'm my best when I'm doing what I'm doing right now, looking in the eye and describing things. You know, I have a TV on my wall just like you do. I ping my computer to the TV. I go, these are the numbers. I'm literally showing you behind Oz's curtain. Like I'm not hiding anything. I'll ping it up there. And the amount of, things that we go over in a 45-minute consultation, things get lost in text and phone calls and stuff. So that's where I start. I'm like, let's just sit down and I will figure out what you don't know and I'll fill it for you.
What that does too is it allows you to sell yourself.
Yeah.
Then you build a friendship with somebody. You trust each other. It's like, okay, cool. Like I met with Tim. He's a cool dude. Like
100%.
The chances of them getting a second opinion at that point is probably a lot lower.
I say that to all of my salesmen that come in, and I really do mean this. And this is not to sound cocky or brag or anything, but just get me in front of them. Just get me in front of them.
Yes.
I'll close it.
Absolutely.
But the biggest thing is getting in front of them.
I taught Matt that, and the tough part is, like, my business is so centralized to Calvert County, it's easy for me. Half the people that I do business with are driving home from D.C. They have to pass by my office. You know where our office is. Matt does have a little bit of a wider net. He does business in D.C., other places. So you do a little bit more virtual call stuff, right?
Yeah. So I'll start as this. Like, Jimmy, if you came to us, straight to us, you'd be gold, because we don't get that many people that come directly to us. And then we can set you up with the realtor that might work best for you or what you're looking for. Like, that is gold for us.
Like, do you think that's the best place for average Joe homeowner to start, is with the lender or with the realtor?
In the perfect world, we'd say always come to the lender first.
Because I feel like 80% of people don't do that.
Yeah, that's 95% of people.
Yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard that. And seriously thinking about it, and I have Steph's cousin does mortgages. Like, that's what he does. I've never heard that before in my life. I thought you just had to go to a real estate guy, et cetera. It sounds like it works out better for you guys coming straight up to
if you do start with the financing piece, the money to buy the house is the most important thing. And then you can talk to the realtor about whether or not you want a garage. But if you start with the realtor and say, I want a 3-car garage, and you realize you have champagne taste with a Miller Lite budget, you're kind of going backwards. Right. Yeah. So he is right. In the perfect world, they would start with us. It just doesn't happen that often.
Get your money right before you start shopping.
Correct.
Yeah, and any realtor wants a pre-approved client. So they're excited when, hey, we've got this client for you, and they're already ready to go. Yeah. Let's go buy a house this weekend, instead of, there's a client, and I got to send them to Matt or Tim, and who knows when they get you what they need. And
so another question I had for y'all is, real estate agents, I got a love-hate relationship with them, right? Just in general. I got to know a bunch of them, do a lot of estimates for a lot of them, but it's always just estimates, never really evolves into a whole lot of actual work being done.
They just want to know how much to tell their client to be prepared to spend. When
this is it. We just need a licensed contractor to give us a price. And I'm like,
4 hours out of my day,
Yeah. So
that's where you don't have a free estimate.
I know. Anyway, but that's
tough to get away from.
My issue. But like in y'all's world, do the realtors try to persuade you guys and get in tight with you, or do you try to get in tight with them? And then, you know what I'm saying? I feel like it's a relationship that goes both ways, but who has the power play there? You know what I'm saying?
I think ultimately we need each other.
Right.
We can't survive.
But I feel like there's more of them than you guys.
100%.
There's definitely more of them.
Yeah.
We have more realtor partners than they have lender partners, right? And we ultimately want them to just have us as their lender partner and have one person they truly trust, and we'll call at 10 o'clock on a Friday night and say, hey, Matt, I got this buyer that really wants to make an offer. Can you do it?
But they can't get a hold of their lender.
Right. Or you just are their lender and they just met this person at the bar.
Yeah.
And, that's the perfect scenario. But yeah, we have a list of consistent, loyal realtors that we truly enjoy working with and want to work with, and we'd love to expand that list, but not to an extent for me.
I guess my question is, do you guys go out looking to expand that list, or do they come to you looking to get on your preferred list?
No. So our bread and butter is to find real estate agents that do good business, establish a really good relationship with them so that they trust us and they send us all their clients.
Yeah.
It's easier said than done, because if you're a good real estate agent, you probably already have a good lender, right? Now, every now and then we'll have an opportunity to then hand off some business, but like we said earlier, they tend to start with the real estate agents. So another reason why we should try to have as many in our sphere as possible. But you can kind of, same as you guys, you can look at your pie of referral sources, internet, past client, database stuff, and then you might have somebody that just sends you a lot of business, like a realtor, whomever, the county, I don't know. With us, is it should be 60 to 70% real estate agent, but then you have divorce attorneys. Two people get divorced, each of them need to buy a house after they sell their house, right?
Restructure the loan and everything if somebody's staying in the house. And all that stuff.
So our goal is to also diversify that and find financial advisors, insurance agents, people like that to send us business. But realtors should be the bread and butter because that's where people start.
I think have you, Matt, not to cut you off, Matt, but going back to like kind of what you said about bringing somebody there first, how that's the perfect client. Have you directed ad spend towards trying to find that perfect, eliminating the first step of them
You
going
got
to real
ad spend
estate?
out there looking for divorced moms.
Yeah. I mean, 'cause it makes
Newly
sense.
divorced moms, 45 to 55.
For marketing, like I look at our SEO numbers and our budget a lot and kind of where our ROI is best, and it's scattered. But for you guys, it seems like it's probably worth some ad spend saying like, hey, in case you didn't know, it's probably better to come to us first. We'll help you out. We'll set you up with a real estate person in-house, et cetera.
You focused a little bit more on that recently, right?
I'm trying to grow that side a little bit. It's not in the mortgage world, equal housing, lending, all that type of stuff. You can't completely say, I'm looking for this. It has to be kind of more of a broad spectrum.
Equal opportunity stuff.
Yeah, all of that. So, which is fine, but it's harder to find quality leads with that.
So Jimmy, half of Jimmy's battle every day is going through bullshit leads and then picking out the good ones.
Yeah, it's definitely a numbers game, and you just have to be willing to play it. Like there's return for it, but you have to understand what you're working with.
Yeah, I like what you were saying about like where I think the fun part of business and where I'm good at, and everybody in this room I would assume is pretty good at, is business development through prior existing clients or a big fish client. Like if you knew there was somebody to go after, he plays golf, et cetera, like you're going to get him. If you get in front of him, I'm going to get you every single time because you like hanging out with me. You want to do, like, that's what I like doing. And it's hard to get away from the stuff that pays the bills regularly, like the residential work, et cetera, taking time to do the big stuff, big picture stuff.
I will say and you kind of know this about me, I keep a very close-knit group of real estate agents that send me as much business as they possibly can, and I prefer it that way. So I'm very relationship centric. I want to be able to sit down with you and have a conversation and have a beer, play a round of golf, have dinner, and really like you and enjoy you. I kind of use this synonym. If I were to get married again tomorrow, which of course, happily married, love you, honey. Who would I invite to my wedding out of the realtor pool I do business with? If any of them are a no, I don't know if I want to do business with that person anymore. I want to be so tight knit with them that I'm literally inviting them to my wedding. That's kind of what I use. There's a limit to that. If I only have this group of 10, if they're all slow for whatever reason, I'm going to be slow. So then maybe I'll focus on the SEO stuff. But it's just, again, I had an analogy years ago. It's when you do the online stuff, you got to kiss a lot of frogs to find the prince. Whereas the realtors I do business with, they send me a lot of good quality clients. So it's just a numbers game. It's whatever you prefer. And the cool thing is you get to choose.
Yeah.
And we have that, right? We have a good list of return customers, steady customers, municipality work, like inspectors and stuff that send us work all the time. And we give them a lot of attention. But we have goals every year and every quarter. We're trying to grow, right? And we're trying to scale growth. And in order to do that, you got to keep those customers happy, but then also try to solicit new work. Mm-hmm. So like in y'all's business, do you try to like scale growth and have projections for growth every year? Or do you just kind of find a revenue target that you're good with and then just stick with that and try to hit that number?
I think we kind of, it's right on point, end of the year, kind of business planning for the next year. We try to do it ourselves. We try to do it with our partners and say, what are your goals for the next year? What can I expect from you? When we put a number out there and say we want to do this much business, we try to analyze that and take it a step further and say, well, if we want to do, let's just say 25 million in loans, how are we going to get those 25 million loans? Where are they coming from? Are they going to come from, this realtor, online leads, new construction, whatever it is? Take it down pretty granularly and really kind of analyze that, and then take it a step further. And if your average loan amount is $350,000 in here in Southern Maryland, that's 70-ish loans to get to that number. So then you need X amount of leads to get there, accounting for fallout, conversion rates. We take it a pretty deep to be able to track all of our data on a monthly, weekly basis.
I do the same shit, man.
To know.
Because I have good motivated people that work here, right? Like Jimmy, he's not going to be content making the same money he's making now 5 years from now, right? So I got to be able to step up to the plate and provide a work environment that allows him to grow professionally. Mm-hmm. And so that pushes me to figure it out how to structure everything and how to scale that growth to where everybody has room to grow and be content with what they're doing. And
you have to be targeted with it. You have to, like he said, get granular. Like
it's got to be intentional.
Yeah,
sure.
Very intentional. You can't just say, I want to do that max amount of business. You have to have a plan for it.
You got to have a plan. And then if Q1 of 24, I got Q1 of 25 sales quotas, and then those sales quotas are going to have certain budgets that correlate directly with the 24 budgets. Do we need to hire people? If I need to hire people, do I need to buy trucks for them? If we hire people, what are their weekly and monthly goal, sales quota is going to be? It's very fucking detailed.
Yeah.
And I'm in the construction world. You know what I'm saying? But in order to scale the growth and scale your operating budgets, it has to be very fucking intentional on where you're going, who's doing what. Are they, I get weekly metric reports from all my guys, how many estimates sent out, how many closed, value of the contracts closed, value of the jobs that we actually closed out and are collecting on.
Well, you can tell just by you saying that, in the construction world, you're leaps and bounds above the competitors, right? Because a lot of the good old boys that are running construction companies aren't doing that.
Well, it pushes me to be better professionally, right? Because I got motivated people that are wanting to do more. So that means I have to do more, right? Which is great. I mean, that's a fucking good work environment there.
I will say one of my biggest struggles my entire career is learning how to delegate. And as you look to grow, and we look to grow, it's not really a fear of mine because I know I'll figure it out, but I just eventually will have to let go of some of that stuff. If the bigger you are, the more you need good people working for you that handle a little bit more. Up until now in your business, I don't know, but you might be in a point where I've been able to do everything. I've been able to have my cell phone number on the freaking signs, but eventually is there going to be a time where I can't do that? I only have so much capacity. I have a family, I have a business. So you also have to have strategic growth. Where do I want my business to be? Do I ever want to be, I hate to drop another name, but I'm not going to, some national, handyman service that everybody knows. Do I want to be on that level? I don't know. I kind of want to stay community oriented and be right here while also maximizing the business that I can do. So it's very difficult to figure it out.
Now, so what we have the ability to do though is instead of say we have an average profit margin of 20%, do I want to do more volume at 20%, or do I want to do the same volume and try to get the margins up?
Yeah.
Do I want to grow numbers, or do I just want to become more efficient at this number?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's always a thing too. And I'm still trying to figure it out, to be honest. I don't have all those answers. I just know that that's the way that I need to be thinking.
It changes.
And
it changes so much throughout the day. And I hate to have, as all of us being motivated, I hate to have that quit mentality because it's just not something that's wired in me. But sometimes you get to the point where you're like, do I really want to grow this much? Because I'm pretty sure him and I could be pretty fucking successful just doing it on our own right now. And I know because we were. And every time we add stuff, it's going back to the drawing board of having to manage people. I'm still learning how to manage people, man. I kind of suck at it right now, I'm being honest.
Yeah, when business is slow, you tend to forego the margins a little bit more. It's no secret that 2020 and 2021 were banner years in our industry, to the point where some people got a little out of control and they started to spend. They should have been saving. And then 22 and 23 dropped off a cliff. Year to date in 24, our company is 6% higher than the national average in terms of volume. We are, when other people are in a negative volume, they're down year over year. We're up 4.5%. We learned that on Friday. It's because we always just focused on the same stuff we always did. It's we are purchase money first, community oriented, realtors, the customer experience. If you never lose sight of that, you're always going to be fine.
So let me ask, because this is something that being a small business that I started, right? I don't have the backing or the leadership or of a First Home Mortgage. You have a corporate office that can kind of help you. Hey, this is the template for this report. Just put in the numbers. hey, this is your HR program. Just fucking make sure people sign this. Like,
So
I don't have any of that
What it
shit.
translates to is I have to do a different fucking template once every 3 months. And
So I'll put like some policy in place that after a couple of months, I'm like, that shit ain't working. And then they're like, fuck.
But no,
And
but
then
I'm fair about it too, because I'm also like, Jimmy Lebonsky doesn't know a better option of doing it, and this looks like a good template, so let's try it out for 3 months.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe that's where you feel like if that's what you need, that's the point where you say, all right, this is my intentional growth. Maybe we need to get a consultant to talk about this side of the business, right?
Like
yeah,
I have a CFO and stuff now that kind of, I'm trying, but then it's like, but then you make these decisions. You're like, is it worth the money? Like,
right.
And
I mean, you talk to anybody, the founder of our company, he's still involved. And
so that's where this was kind of preluding to, is like, what type of support do you get from First Home Mortgage as a lender in Southern Maryland? What kind of support do they give you, like, on their corporate level?
everything. We have the look and model of a big national company without, some of the downsides to it. Like, for example, we don't have any middle management. I report directly to the president of our company. There's nobody in between. As soon as we get to that point, I don't know if I want to work for this company anymore, because it's what we were built on. I don't think we'll ever be there, because it's, we have branch managers in this company that have been here for so long, and we like being able to just go, hey, I got this issue. So no middle management is very, very, it's a clean path upward. HR departments, we have, health benefits, 401k, all that was already there for us. I don't have to worry about any of that. So that's a benefit to what I do for a bit. I literally just have to worry about the day-to-day people like Matt. But so I have to look at the people above me and go, they built this for me. I can't screw it up. For you, you're still building it.
I'm building it, and I have a little glimpse of what it needs to be like, because I have worked for corporations. Like, right out of college, I worked for a couple of them. And the stores that I worked in were always kind of like their own little entity, their own little business that had quotas, and the store manager had the ability to hire and fire. Just meet these expectations. Don't really care how you do it. Just do it. But then corporate was always there with, like, advice and, like, nope, you got to do it this way, or here's the policy for that, And it was very structured. I don't have that like bigger structure over top of everything. So I'm just kind of like, I don't want to say making it up, but I'm trying to, like, build it as it's growing,
I think you'd be surprised how many of people that you consider your competitors that would be willing to talk to you and help you.
Yeah.
Matt, I'll let him talk about this in a second, but he's got a really good relationship with a local builder that's in growth mode in Southern Maryland, which is kind of rare. Most of these big builders are like 1 foot out the door. But in turn, he's gone to them and gone, how'd you build? How'd you scale? How'd you do this, this, and this? Land acquisition, all these different things. And they will open their playbook to you.
I try to reach out to bigger players all the time and just look for advice. I don't want to say I'm looking for like a mentor, but I'm looking for somebody that I can bounce ideas off of and just be like, hey, dude, am I generally in the right fucking direction here?
Yeah.
And just, like, I don't need you to give me your playbook, but just tell me if I'm way off.
I like when it happens. Matt probably likes when it happens. Because another successful guy opens it up and goes, man, this guy's a fucking rock star.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, let's meet with this guy once a month. Tell him how good I am.
I think there's just an inherent assumption that people that are really successful they just want to kind of keep the cards close to the vest. And I think that anybody that talks to you, Gene, will see something in you that they saw in themselves. Like, I want Gene to get to where we are now. And we have that in our company where people have been doing this 20, 30 years longer than we have. And they are just on this pedestal. But if you text them and go, hey, I'm struggling with this, they're immediately responding and they want to help you. I was kind of using the analogy of a local builder that you have a good relationship with that seeked out help from the QBHs and the Merricks of the world that are not really doing much anymore. And they're helping them scale, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, you're talking about Schaefer Homes, Jimmy Schaefer.
Oh, nice.
Who, we also all grew up with, playing sports with here in Calvert County. And he's got this huge plan to get to where he wants to be for his company.
Yeah.
And
tell Jimmy to start throwing some site work my way, man.
we can work on that.
I'm going to reach out to Jimmy after
Hear that,
this.
Jimmy?
Yeah.
Get him on here for the next episode.
Let's do it.
Yeah. But yeah, he's got some big goals in communities that, where he wants to be in the next 5-10 years. And it's exciting to kind of be in on the ground floor with another local the time now a small builder that hopefully becomes a bigger builder in the area. You know, it is fun.
Does he play at the Cannon Club too?
He does, and he's a lot better golfer than the both of us.
I mean, we've been talking about the Cannon Club recently.
Hey, you're talking about budget for 25. Let's just let's throw it in there.
I look like country club type dude, man.
You'd fit right in.
Yeah, I know. Dude, I probably have 24 fucking
Dress
guys.
up fine when we play golf. You look fine. You look normal.
I know,
like a
man.
golfer.
But I don't just hang out at the country club, though, man.
You're not bad at golf. You're good at golf.
So you have this vision of it. It's probably nowhere near what you visualize it as.
Yeah.
It's honestly what I've realized is kind of skewed a lot younger over the last few years, and it's become I'm like looking around like, dude, I went to school with these guys.
they let Dave Bowen in there. Hey, everybody's gonna get in.
He's not allowed there anymore.
I heard he got kicked out, but still, he got his foot in the door.
I didn't say that.
And Dave O'Donnell's there too. So we'll be all right.
I mean, I've really enjoyed it. I find it as a great way to connect. I've met a lot of people there that, you know, hopefully, ideally, it's going to turn into some business or some partnerships, referrals, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But there's the older generation that is there, but they're not a stuffy older generation. They don't look at us young guys and say, get that crap out of here. They want to learn about what you do and how they can help you or whatever it might be.
Well, I played golf twice last month, and it translated to 2 very big deals. And he didn't give me shit about playing golf this Friday, so I was like, maybe we have to roll this.
No, I get it. I understand. A lot of business done on a golf course, man. Like, I'm not opposed to that.
I just wish, and I love Cannon Club. I wish there was more options. With all the water frontage and land that Calvert County has, how do we not have just a state-of-the-art golf course on the Patuxent River?
I got Queenstown where I'm at, and
Queenstown's great.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Like, why do we not have that? We don't have very many options, but Cannon Club
Swan Point's nice.
Yeah.
Something like Swan Point in Calvert would be cool.
It would be awesome, but
that could be the next division of McKenzie Contracting. We could build a golf course.
might be up for sale, dude.
It is.
It always is.
It is. There's not enough land there to make it what it needs to be.
I turned that old tobacco barn into like a barbecue, beer drinking joint.
I've looked into the golf stuff, like kind of opening up or getting more involved with golf course builders, because there is a project that's pretty close to here that was going through bid stages, and I got reached out to by a bunch of those companies that just do those. It's a pretty interesting thing, but you got to be super specialized in that particular thing. I don't think there's room to do other stuff. You're just waiting for new courses to be built each year, and you're kind of at the mercy.
You're traveling a lot to do it.
Yeah.
It's not as local of a business. I mean, what is y'all's reach at this point? How far are you guys willing to go for work, or where do you want to go?
Jimmy, don't answer this question.
I will go anywhere I can make $1, brother. I go to Richmond. I go to Carroll. I don't give a shit.
So we're basically from Annapolis to like down, to the Virginia line. All of Southern Maryland, Southern PG.
301 Bridge to Bay Bridge.
Pretty much, man.
Yeah.
And
Richmond, Virginia.
we do travel. So like, we're up in Northern Virginia. We're like, actually today we started cutting trees up at the zoo, at the National Zoo in DC.
That's
so like,
cool.
like that fucking panda shit.
So you're doing bamboo again.
No, we're out. We're out of bamboo, brother. We're out.
So, but we're cutting the trees for the panda exhibit at the zoo, so that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
Yeah.
You need to chronicle that and put it on your social media, man. That's pretty neat.
You need to get the
I had a
local Fox 5 talking
If I
about
had a
that.
media guy that could figure out a GoPro.
So here's the thing with the media. Yeah, dude, the media stuff, like when I first came here, Gene helped me out when I needed something as a career, right? And I don't think any of us thought it was going to be a career. And at the time, I was doing pretty well at social media. I was like, yeah, I can do sales and your social media stuff. Well, I started getting really good at the sales stuff. And then I was like, oh my God, I don't have any time to do any of the social media stuff. And it's just been kind of in the back burner. But then you get these reminders like during the slow time every year where you're like, dude, I have to get back on that because the ROI is massive.
Yeah, it's hard to keep after because you just get the shiny thing every day is this project or this bid I have to get out.
Well, plus we're putting out fires every day, dude.
You're always putting out
fires. So when
fires.
you're putting fires out, like this shit, like we're recording right now, it's like the last thing on your mind.
Yeah, you're always scared to look at your phone when you're doing something like
I
this.
had to step out because of a fire, and it's like, it's all day long. It's all day long.
But yeah, it's hard you always have to stay forward thinking and business develop, but it's easy to fall back into, all right, every day I'm just going to focus on what today brings. I'm bad at social media, man. So bad at it. The only thing, I share pictures of my kids. That's about it. I need to be better about it. Matt came out the gate really strong on social media, and I think we all are reminded time and time again, like I need to just block out a certain amount of time or certain days of the month and just hit social media, and I just fail to do it. I'm bad at it.
Yeah. It's something that you have to, there can't be a down period in it, because the metrics are affected when you have a down period, and you're not able to grow the following and compound the following. And it just you have to do it you have to have a full-time person doing it.
It's a full-time job to do it right.
Yeah.
To do it right. Yeah.
And we've been but we've been discussing that. I mean, is it worth it or is it not worth it? And I think it is worth it if you can get somebody at a certain price point.
Where it's hard for me.
Like, is it a 6-figure job? I don't think so.
I think it can be, but the problem is where I get his side of it. He can't see the ROI because there's not a metric tied to it, right? So except for likes.
You build that. So you build that social media person into a commission structure with them. They can have their salary, and then for every lead that's coming from social media, well, maybe they get a little piece of that.
Well, that's what's hard. It's hard unless the person comes out, and I'm dealing with the customers for the most part. He's not dealing with every one of the customers for the most part, where I do hear, hey, I saw this video that you did. This is exactly what I want. But to put that on paper and know exactly how many leads you're getting from that, it's really, really hard.
It's hard to quantify.
Yeah, it's
really
super hard to quantify.
Well, like from my perspective, right? If I got somebody on payroll and they're making $1,200 a week, and all they're doing is social media, and then they post some Facebook shit and it gets like 3 likes, and it's Jimmy, Carly, and like the dude's mom. I'm like, hey, bro, like it's got to be better than that. I don't know what you got to do different, but it's got to be better than that. Like,
no, and it's tough.
And that's hard to argue. It's like, yeah, man, I didn't do too well. I'm like,
and it's tough,
man. Like,
it's tough. It's tough with commercial reach, right? Because commercial reach is structured. Meta structures it a certain way so they can get more ad spend out of you. So the second you start spending that money on ads, anything that's a natural, non-boosted post, they'll drive down into the algorithm because they want you to spend more money. So it's a constant battle. But if you have people that are regularly on your page, then the reach continues and the algorithm will continue to show that stuff. So there is something to building a following, but kind of trying to balance it with like, where can I sprinkle in items that will get you to come call us to get an estimate, et cetera. It's a tough thing in our industry. And I would imagine it's even tougher in yours because there's not actually a thing that you can take a picture of before and after.
Well, we also, we're planting long-term seeds for the most part. So we meet a client, we don't know if they're going to buy a house tomorrow, Saturday, in a month, 6 months, or 2 years. So talk about hard to quantify. We'd have to go back, a long time and kind of really remember where we have ways of tracking this stuff, but where did this person actually come from? I don't know. I think contractors a little bit more often, somebody will say contractor, Honeytown, Maryland. Mm-hmm. People do that with mortgages, but not quite as often. I know this person, my sister did their loan with this person, or this realtor referred me. So we're more referral probably than you guys are to a certain extent.
Yeah, I think are great, though.
The last 3 houses that I've bought, I've gone with somebody that I knew from somebody who knew from somebody, and then a family member. Like, there's nothing I'd ever searched like, hey, best mortgage rates in Huntingtown.
Yeah.
So like your time on the golf course and your time in front of people and your time with business development is like so important. I feel like now looking at it from that perspective.
And that's my whole thing with the Cannon Club shit, right? It's like, if I get a corporate membership and Jimmy's taking, property management, like guys that have been feeding us business for the last 2 or 3 years, and we're networking, I'm cool. I'm good with that. Mm-hmm. But if it's fucking Jimmy and my brother fucking running the tab up at the fucking golf course on a Thursday afternoon, I'm like, okay, well, like, what are we doing? Like,
No, and I'm conscious of the budgeting and stuff too. Like he originally said, hey, let's do this. And I was kind of like, I don't know, dude, it's a lot of money. I don't know if I can like justify it, but I do think you can. What he just said, rolling into it, I think you guys definitely bring to the table, like wrapping all this up, like the business to business development, right? I remember Tim and Matt from so-and-so, they do mortgages, let me call them, right? That time and that personality that you bring to the table sets you guys up to be in a really cool position for kind of a hybrid sale position, because you're both, right? You're doing the data behind it and also doing the sales. So it's a pretty, I'd never thought about it that way.
Yeah, I don't want it to be my identity, so to speak. I want people to know just enough that I do this for a living, but I also don't want to just cram it down people's throats. So it's a good give and take.
Yep.
Yeah, you want it at least to be kind of on the top of the mind when they think about the topic.
Yeah.
Right. So not that like, I've seen Matt post 100 things this week about mortgages and this type of mortgage and this and that.
Yeah.
I think you guys do a really good job of it, because none of it has been it's never been too much for me when I see it on social, because I follow both you guys on my personal page. Like, it's never been too much, but it was like 3 people stand out in my mind right now, my friends that do what you do, and that's who I'd call.
Yeah. I like to hear it. I mean,
just enough.
Know you, like you, trust you.
Yeah.
Right. So know you is put it on the social media every now and then, say, this is what I do for a living. Like you and trust you, you don't know until you talk to us. But I will say it's kind of beneficial for me to, not have many enemies from school and things of that sort, and kind of be a fence sitter for the most part, that I can relate to as many people as I possibly can. And then it's, taking people out and playing golf and stuff. And so then they can learn to like me. It's those 3 pillars. I think we've done a pretty good job of that. Again, you got to get in front of people, man. And that's why I tell people, just come to the office. Because if you give me a few minutes, I will try to get you to like me, and then you won't go anywhere else, right?
Yeah, and that's something I say to people that are looking to get into sales all the time. Like, I have a lot of buddies from the police department still, because kind of like Matt, I went from something I didn't even know, just being right in the thick of something that, I don't know at all, and trying to sell and hit certain numbers. But I was scared of it at first. And what I told people is, like, don't be afraid or overwhelmed of like what you're selling. Just be really good at what makes you a good friend or makes people want to hang out with you, right? Because I feel like people that want to be, like, if you have friends, people want to hang out with you, you have the personality for sales. Whereas people will be like, oh, you're a good salesman, you have this, blah. And it kind of sounds shitty when somebody says, like, what are you saying? You're my used car salesman? But I think it's more so, if you can hold a conversation with somebody and somebody will listen to you at a bar rather than just turn away and try to find somebody else, you can probably be a pretty good salesman.
Yeah, I think our business, or a lot of people, are hesitant to want to talk to the lender because we're like, the stuffy bank, like, that kind of thing. And when I can sit down, whether it's in person or, these clients, because now video calls are so normal that, I've got clients in DC or Pennsylvania or wherever they want to buy, I can meet with them face to face, and they can see that I'm a normal person that they can trust, and not just some stuffy bank guy that's trying to buy his 20th Rolex because he's making so much money. Right?
That point you just made right there has, I think, made me so much better than a lot of the competition. And what we do is, guys like you. Guys will literally, they want to have they can talk about sports. You're a guy's guy.
Yeah.
Like, you can get so many sales out of just being a guy's guy. I'll go to these pre-bid meetings and I'll see all these dorks line up, and I'm like, it's mine. Not a shot. I'm going to absolutely annihilate this guy. Because he can't talk about the fucking game from Sunday. He doesn't play golf. He doesn't play sports. He's a nerd. This guy over here does this, that, and the other. Like, it's a done deal.
And you can take it a step further, because you're not only just selling to the husband when you sell to the wife too. Like, ask the kids' names, remember the kids' names, like all those sorts of things really tie into like the whole family. Like, people are buying a house for their family, not just for themselves in most cases, right? So you're helping them, especially if they're first time home buyers, achieve this most expensive purchase of their lives. Make it personal. Like, this is a huge accomplishment for them, and when you can really build them up and like make them feel special, it's pretty awesome. I have clients literally at the closing table about 30 minutes ago. They're in their mid 40s, veteran, never bought a house before in his life. They have like a 1 or 2 year old, and they're buying their first house today as a husband and wife.
That's cool.
And that's just exciting. They've never felt like they could do that. And they're the most qualified buyers there are out there, right? They just were always nervous or scared or didn't take that leap.
Right, moving around a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
so, and then they finally decided they're ready, and they wanted to get this house for their family, and it's cool. It's exciting.
Yeah, you guys brought up Rolexes. What kind of watches are we wearing today?
This is a Citizen. It's a
Citizen.
Yeah, I said I want something that looks like a Submariner, but not the price tag.
So I'm gonna see what you're wearing, and I'm gonna tell you what happened this weekend.
So this is a Fossil watch that my mom bought me in 7th grade.
Okay.
And it's sentimental. It's
that's cool.
Still a good looking watch.
That's cool. It's a great looking watch. What do you got on?
The Garmin Mark Gen 2.
I like it. I got the Garmin on too as well. I took the leap this weekend, and then my friends outed me to my wife in front of her at when we were in Delaware.
Not a good friend.
Yeah. So I had lost money on a college football game, and they're like, "Oh, you don't care? Like, you just bought a Submariner." And I was like, she's like, "You got it?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Oh, they called your name." I was like, "No, I paid more than retail for it."
The mistake is your wife knowing what a Submariner is. That's
Yeah, I know. Yep, she knows. So it is what it is now.
Good for you, buddy.
It'll be here Thursday.
That's a big day for you, brother.
Yeah, I'm excited.
I love it, man. That's good stuff.
Dustin got me into it because Dustin's always got a nice watch on, and he's always making fun of my watch. So
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'll get a nice one now.
Those car guys.
Exactly.
A whole different world.
That's right, man.
Talk about sleazy, man.
So that's what the salesman thing comes back to, like the used carsman sale thing, or what? I don't know.
The last couple of years have been very challenging for us, and we have like real barriers to break down when people say housing bubble, rates are too high. We have more people throwing excuses at us than ever before.
So
Yeah.
I want to get off the Rolex bullshit topics.
I like the Rolex. Stop it.
Yeah. Jimmy's giving away how much fucking money.
This is Kyle Waters' favorite part of the podcast.
Is Kyle a watch guy?
Oh, huge watch guy.
Really?
He wants to be.
Oh, dude, funny story. I saw him pumping the gas on Friday when me and him live right down the street from each other.
Yeah.
We were playing, we were at lacrosse practice, and I saw his big ass head come walking up out of nowhere, and I was like, I know that back of
So
that
I'll
head.
call Kyle out because
Shut
I
up,
invited
Kyle.
him to do this shit a few times, and I think he's too scared to do it.
He'll do
He
it.
just doesn't know what to talk about.
I'll lead the conversation.
If he knew he could talk about watches, he'd have been here a long
Yeah.
time
He's
ago.
not used to talking to adults. He has 17 kids
I
to
know,
talk
yeah,
to.
he's got a lot.
Dude, he's got an army over there. How many does he have now?
He's got 5,
5?
5,
He's got
5,
6
yeah.
for sure.
5.
That's pretty awesome.
Anyway, back to business. So, where's the market at right now? What are y'all's biggest challenges right now? Because, dude, there ain't no way shit's been as good as it was 4 or 5 years ago to what it is this year or the last 2 years. Where is it at? What are y'all doing to get by or to, make the most of it? And then where do you see it going in the next year or two?
Can I add one point to it?
Yeah.
What for somebody who's with everything that Gene just said, what would your pitch be if I came to you guys today and I said, hey, I'm in this point financially, it's time to either add to the house that I currently live in, or I got to move, guys. I'm running out of room. Like Kyle Waters, I got 7 kids. I got to do something.
It's an interesting topic because we've kind of dealt with that, and we will very pragmatically look at it. Like if this house is a good house for you, it's an area that you like, and just adding square footage or adding another room or something like that, if that's going to work for you, we will show you how to finance that, maybe taking out a second mortgage or something like that. But for the most part, people are in a scenario where they bought in 2020 or 2021, they have a 3% interest rate or lower, and they know they have to move. They know they ran out of space. They know they want to be in a different zip code or school district or whatever, So we call that interest rate locked, where they're like, I don't want to give this up and go to 6.5 on a $500,000 house. Affordability is very, very tough. But what you have to do is kind of point out the fact that this is an asset for you that will continue to appreciate. The DMV is as strong of a housing market as there is. Why is that? Because strong jobs, right? There's, people are continuing to come here and not leaving as much. And particularly in Calvert, I mean, with Schaefer and the things that you're attuned to, there's not building a ton. So supply and demand's a real issue, So you have to kind of tell people, like, listen, there's not some better thing on the horizon other than lower rates. What happens with lower rates? There's 5 other Jimmys looking to buy a house because they'll say, oh, well, rates are 4.5 now. Let's get out there. And now that $500,000 house is $530,000, and you're having to compete and make concessions and pay cash above appraisal. What you want to do, buy it now at 6.5 at $500,000. Wait for rates to go down and refinance that note. We don't know when that's going to be. I think we made probably some, over the last couple of years, we never really made promises that rates would be better, but we made assumptions. Those people that have been waiting for 2 years for rates to fall, look what they're doing. They're still in the same position. So it's buy real estate and wait, don't wait to buy real estate.
Okay.
Because your home's in this area is always going to appreciate. The value is going to keep going up for you. So you get it now, and then lower that payment later. I mean, if you can afford it, right? You buy what you can afford. Some people are stretching their budgets, but
I mean, I just bought a fucking Submariner, so you're probably talking to the right guy.
so you could probably sell that and have a down payment ready for the house. So
Yeah, I seriously do need to sit down with you guys because that is kind of the position I'm in. That's why I thought this podcast would be great. Is like, I'm in the position where I got in at a really, really good rate. I mean, stupid. And then we refinanced to a dumber rate. And I was like, I don't want to move. The house is so goddamn cheap now. And I got enough room, but we're kind of tight on space. But I don't want to take on I'm not going to put the number out there, but a massively high number at a crazy rate when I can just build a home, an addition on the back of it.
Yeah. I mean, if everything else falls into place that you like, the place, the neighborhood, all that kind of stuff, and just, maybe a little bit more square footage, and you have the ability to do that, then I say go for it. Okay. But if there's all these other factors that you're like, we're just really not happy, we want to move, then you kind of need to consider it. But, looking at real data, if you bought in Calvert, I know you're looking at in a different place, but I have data for Calvert. If you bought a $484,000 house today, that house is going to be worth, and this is historical appreciation, in 5 years, it's going to be worth $646,000. 5 years. And that's not what we're projecting. It's what has already happened over the last 5 years. So you're talking about.
I just watched it happen to my house.
Yeah. So why do you think people look at the rate more than they look at the value of the home?
It's interesting. It's like that's people's. The first thing in their head is interest rate, and this is what dictates my payment, and so it is.
I think it's just a monthly being tied to the bottom line of the monthly payment.
It's all of this stuff. It's this social media that is ingrained in the popular culture of interest rates versus focusing on what's comfortable, what actually makes sense. What's your financial plan? What's your goals for the future?
You're purchasing an asset.
Correct.
And that asset is more long-term than the fucking interest rate, which is just supposed to be short-term until it's paid off.
That same person is waiting for rates to fall 0.5%, but they have a $20,000 balance on their credit card paying 24%. So there's something wrong with like American consumerism where, I mean, we'll see it even bigger now after the Christmas season, January will roll around, and credit card debt is out of control. It's because I think social media is a big part of it. Everyone is just looking at their neighbor and what's everybody else doing. So I'm going to go home and I'm going to ask my wife if I can buy a Submariner because I want to be like Jimmy Polanski. That's what Americans do.
I got to look up what that fucking is. I don't even know what it is.
It looks like this, but way more expensive. Yeah. So, but people don't have their head in the right space, and that's why we kind of have to educate them. Like, you're spending like crazy, and if you really look at somebody's credit and go, you've been paying this much for credit cards, and you have an auto loan for this, and what if you sold your house, took 50 of it, paid off all your debt, and took the rest of it and put it down on this house? Your cash flow is basically the same. You know, so people don't realize that. Like all this other debt, they just focus on the mortgage and the rate, but they have all this other stuff going on.
So that's what we call the blended rate when we really look at everything. You know, you might have a 2% interest rate on your house, but you're paying this other high interest rate. You know, really you're paying a total of 10% on everything. Like they're jaded.
Now, is a 30-year fixed rate kind of still what everybody's going after? Or has that changed at all?
We've been waiting for adjustables to become a little bit more in vogue, but it's there's a lot of math behind it.
A little hesitant to do that right now.
Yeah, well, honestly, there's a lot of scenarios that it makes a lot of sense. I mean, you did one on your first house because you knew you weren't going to be there long term. But
I have one right now.
Yeah, really? Right. So,
you got to be comfortable with it, and you're
gambling.
A little bit. Yeah. You trust yourself. You know that you make the right decision. If the house I have with that right now, if rates are really like that bad in the future, I'll just sell the house, right? Like if I can't afford the payment, I'm not going to keep it and put my family in jeopardy.
Right. What's the benefit to an adjustable rate, like per month payment?
It's typically lower up front,
okay,
to start, right, compared to what the average 30-year fixed is.
Okay. Yeah. So you can improve upon your interest rate by 1/4 or 0.5%, but just knowing that in 5 years or 7 years, it will start to alternate every year or 6 months based on the market. And so people have the fear of that. A 30-year fixed mortgage is just so comfy. You know it's never going to change. Actually, that's not true because taxes and insurance are just going crazy. I'm sure you know that. With homeowners insurance is very expensive now. The cost to rebuild a house is expensive. Property taxes are going up. But the principal and interest portion of a 30-year fixed payment, people like that security of it. But those that are into industry and we pay attention to this stuff every day, we're more comfortable with an adjustable because we know when to pull the trigger and make a change.
Gotcha. Now, do you guys deal with like refis and stuff? And like, I'm dumb to this. My wife does the finances. So I just say, hey, we want to do this. What do we have to do? She just gives me papers to sign.
Coming from the dude that just bragged about buying a roller.
Yeah, no, but she does.
Obviously, he doesn't control the finances.
Yeah, no, my wife does all of that. I have my little side money on the side that she don't have to know about. But the main stuff, I'm
that
like,
Clemson kicker hit that kick the other day, and he's like, "I'm buying a Rolex."
Yeah, I've been killing sports gambling, but I got taken to the woodshed yesterday. But before that, I've been on a hot roll. No, that Rolex was paid for through sports betting. 100%. But like, I know there's HELOCs, there's refi, like there's different options. Like, I don't know. Do we go to you guys for a HELOC or?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because that's something we're definitely in the market of, because it seems like between 2017 when we bought our house till 2022, it was like somebody just kind of said, here's $250,000 towards your house. We just made it up. It's fugazi, whatever you want to call it. Like fucking, it's made up. I don't know where it came from. Like $250,000 in equity.
It's a fake number until you make it real. So if you need to cash out that equity, there's a lot of different ways you can do that. And yes, we can help you with that. You could always do a cash out refi, but that alters that first note interest rate. We have a fixed rate second that you can take. A lot of different terms for that. So yes, again, back to the original point, if you wanted to do an addition and you knew it was going to cost you $150 or whatever it's going to cost you, there's ways to pull that equity to pay for that, and you don't have to touch your first mortgage. So it's a good alternative that we do offer. And again, we don't care about, some people assume like we're going to sell you on selling that house so we get the big loan. That's just we're not wired that way.
Right.
We want to do what's right for the customer, because eventually it's going to come back to us too, that, hopefully we get some repeat business out of it. I go side by side. Here's your two options. You decide.
I think that's probably something where we could definitely work together on it too, because I have a lot of clients that they're wanting to do something really large, man. Like these outdoor full renovations and add a whole outdoor space, especially with the retaining walls. They're not cheap, and we live in a hilled area. Like, it's a massive thing to do in your backyard to create a whole different usable area in the backyard. But we're talking about the 70s to 150s. People are like, I don't know how I'm going to pay for this. Am I going to take out a loan? And I always say, hey, you might want to like look into HELOCs or something. I'm not the finance guy, but that sounds like it'd be a good way to kind of tie the business in.
You could easily become a lead source on our spectrum for that. Like that's we've got avenues for all that with, and not just saying here's your loan for this. Like, again, taking it a step further, helping that client realize, well, if you really want this, maybe we can take a little bit more out, pay down some other debts. Like it can be more than just your project, but help you guys get that going.
Gene, you've seen my backyard. In our long-term plans, 5-10 years, I don't know when it's going to be, is to excavate that back hill, put a retaining wall up, put a pool in. How are we going to do that? I'm probably not going to pay for it in cash. I'm probably going to take a second to do it. So that's a very real reason to cash in your equity, because you're going to build more equity on the back end by doing it.
Oh, dude, I mean, we literally have those conversations daily.
Yeah.
People with big ideas, right? And it sucks because sometimes they have these big ideas and don't realize how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
But then some people do realize it, and either they have the money or they understand that they can have access to the money somehow.
Right.
Yeah, if you think about somebody who bought in a house at 20, we were all, you had kids at what age, 27, 28? I was in the same boat. Were you around that age too? Yeah. So buying that first house and kind of saying, all right, well, it's going to be $60,000 to add an entire backyard to my kids to have. But I had clients do this where they needed that area for their kids to play, and it completely changed the whole dynamic of the house and kept them there for another 10 years. So it's definitely something that we need to look into, tying the two businesses together.
Or the flip side of that, somebody that's older and figuring out how they can age in place versus going somewhere else. That's a big issue for people that are kind of like, all right, I want to retire, or I'm a little bit older and I need to leave and go to the Carolinas, make it cheaper. How can I age in place in a very expensive area that's going to be comfortable with me? Because, I need one level living or whatever, make it more comfortable for me. So that's another reason why we're talking to some clients is like, look, I really don't want to go anywhere. How do I make this house a house that I can live in for the next 20 years to, finish out my life, basically? That's
kind of where I'm at not a very old age. Like, I want to stay where I'm at for the most part. I really like the neighborhood that we're in. The schools are amazing. My house is just a little bit too small. And I'm like looking at the housing rates now, which I have a whole different understanding of it after talking to you guys, but I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be so much more money a month. What are my options?
Yeah. That consultation is like, I love it. I love coming in. You have a real decision to make for your family. How do we do it the right way? I love that kind of thing. It's the best.
I mean, you're probably 75% of the U.S. population right now, right?
Yeah.
That's bursting at the seams or deciding if they want to stay where they are right now. And the other thing we're seeing as kind of more forward looking with our big industry issue is inventory of homes. So even if you want to move, there's really not that much out there for you to find that checks all the boxes.
There's 5 houses right now in my price range in the entire Eastern Shore.
Yeah.
There's 5.
So
It's insane.
Taking this step further, when you as the potential new buyer has this really low interest rate on your current house, what a lot of people are just doing is taking that second or HELOC, getting that cash, using that to buy the next house, and keeping that old house as a rental because the rates are so low and they can rent it back out, therefore decreasing the inventory even more because they're not selling on the back end of buying that new house.
So my mindset, and one of the questions I had in here was that second home / rental. My mindset goes to, I don't know anybody that rents. Is that somebody would rent a single family home of like 2,500 square foot? Like they would rent that? I don't even, how much does that cost a month?
12% of a household in Calvert County are renters. 12%.
Wow.
I would have actually guessed that it was lower than that. But I mean, you're talking about a very low, I mean, people have very heavy rate of home ownership in really the state of Maryland, but in rural areas, so to speak. There's just not a lot to rent anywhere. Right. And so that's why you're presented with this real opportunity to have a huge cash flow option of vacating that property, buying the new one, and having that rental for a long, long time. There's ways to tap it. I mean, my dad, for example, he's like, listen, he's a police officer. He's like, there's people that come through the academy. I know they're young. They're not married yet. I know they're going to be renters. So if you have some sort of pipeline into it and you can continue to replace that person with a new tenant, that's one thing. But like you said, if you look around, you go, who the hell's going to rent my house?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know anybody that rents.
But there's people that do that. There's property managers, real estate professionals that that's what they specialize in. And you say, all right, I have such a cash flow on this property. It's okay if I pay 10% to that person to deal with it all for me. So I'm completely hands off.
That's kind of where I'm at.
My money.
I don't want to lose all the equity that I built and the great deal that I have on this house to just take on something that's 2x now because of where you've seen the housing go.
What's also, if you want a stranger in that house or somebody that you kind of know, that's
probably
a decision you got to make. Yeah.
Probably a stranger.
Probably make more money with a stranger.
Yeah, you don't have to. I mean, there's no, hey, Jimmy,
in
my
that game,
fridge
dude,
is
as a
broke.
landlord, I would want to be a hands-off landlord.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would just want to, pay a property manager to take care of it, send me my check at the end of the month.
I would imagine
you handle any fucking issues.
I would imagine there's thresholds.
That way, there's no emotions in it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, look, I don't want to see the fucking place. I don't want to talk to the people.
Well, and you're busy. You got a business to run. You got kids. You got all this other stuff. You can't be taking that call like, oh, the plumbing's messed up and I got to go take my time away from my family to go fix this.
Yeah. You already have fires. You don't need more.
We got fires.
Yeah.
And is there a big, is there a metric or a market in which you're in a threshold between minimum and maximum of house value where people are looking to rent it within that 12%? Do you have any data on that, or do you think there is any out there? Because I would say that it's probably not over a certain threshold at all.
I mean, it's a supply and demand thing still.
Yeah, I think that the supply is so low that there's people looking at kind of the other thing that I think plays into this in our specific area. All the military bases. A lot of military come here for a short period of time. And while there are many of them that decide to buy, a lot of them don't. And they're looking for a property that's nice to live up to their standards and only live there for 2 years or 1 year or whatever their orders demand of them. And that Calvert County market, Northern Calvert County, a lot of those renters are military.
Yeah. I think there's, for years, there's this stigma of being, let's say 30 and still living with your parents.
Yeah.
That number is just going to continue to increase. It already has. And I think that stigma is going away because what else are they going to do? There's really nothing to rent. So they're going to have to stay there and save money, grow in their career, whatever, before they can actually find an opportunity to buy. Now we have ways to kind of convince them to do so, but it does take a little bit longer than for years we assumed it would for somebody to buy the first house.
Yeah, dude, I bought my first house at 22 or 23, but I was only making $23 an hour as a cop in Prince George's County. I couldn't buy a house for that now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish I bought my first house back then. My parents bought a house and then rented it to me. They were geniuses.
Shout out Dave Baden.
Those shrewd business people there.
Yeah. They were like, oh, we're gonna take advantage of Matt and all his college roommates and just rent it to them.
Oh yeah, man.
Do you guys deal with land purchases at all and mortgaging behind that or loans behind that?
I'll let you take this, Matt, since you're the new construction guy.
So, yes, to some extent. We can do the land in conjunction with the new construction when it's done all at one time. If you want to buy the land and sit on it, then we'll refer you out to a local bank that we kind of work with and kind of have a relationship with and say, hey, these guys will take care of you. Get this land, sit on it when you're ready to come back and buy the house or build the house. Let us know. We can set you up with the builder, or you have a builder, or you know, in some cases, if you're a contractor, you can build it yourself kind of thing. Those are kind of harder to come by these days just because the risk is higher.
That's why I was rolled into the deal that I was in, where I wanted to buy the lot. I couldn't afford the down payment on sitting on the lot waiting to pick out the builder that I wanted. So I had to go with a builder that could then roll it all into one. And it ended up being a pretty shit deal for me. I've had a bad builder, but I know there's some good ones out there. But I don't know if that's something you guys don't. So you're saying you source it out if it's just sitting on the land.
Yeah. If it's raw land and you're not going to build right away, we have to send you to a bank for that. Okay. Listen, land, does it have a stable value? Yes. Is it a little bit more of a riskier? Because, I mean, it's not a huge asset for a bank to then offload. You see some land listings on the market for a long, long time, especially if it's not perked. So, that's why it's very niche for me to say, for a bank to say, we will finance this, because if they were to default on that land, it's kind of hard to get rid of. So that's why we kind of refer that out. But yeah, if you're ready to build, you want to buy the land and can build the house right away, we can help you with that.
I was going to say, do you have somebody, if I, like, again, in this situation, if Jimmy comes to Tim and Matt and says, hey guys, I'm looking for this specific kind of lot and this kind of house. Like, would you go to Jimmy Schaefer and say, hey, I got a client who's looking for this, that, and the other. Let's like work together and roll this all into one.
Oh yeah.
100%. I mean, that's definitely where I would start. Say, hey, what do you have available? What do you own right now? Or what do you know about? Because they're in the know about what land is out there, even that's not on the market, more than any of us. I mean, they're always looking for their next deal. So, that's where I would start. And then he might even say, I know so-and-so owns this land, and he might be able to help you if it's really what you're looking for.
There's a lot of backwoods conversations that are had with realtors and homeowners and things like that, where they're like, look, I know that this widow lives on freaking 35 acres down Leach's Wharf, and if you give her the right number, she'll come off of it or whatever. There's all these without it actually being on the market yet. So
I don't know any of those people, and I want to know some of those people. I have not found a deal like that ever.
You got to do some more door knocking.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh God, don't get him started on the door knocking right now.
The best shit is the stuff that nobody else knows about.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where it's all at.
Yeah. That's where you can really find the value in a good real estate agent. Like it's one thing for them to just look and see what's on the market. But do they have pocket listings? Do they have people that they sold a house to 5 years ago that they know want to sell, but it's going to take a certain number for them to sell, or they don't want to go ahead and look at buying houses without having a buyer for this house, so they're trying to do this cart and horse game. So good agents have a bigger sphere that can kind of carve out an opportunity for you.
Gotcha. So, I mean, I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I would say go ahead and plug who you work with, typically real estate agents. Like, who would you refer to me to in that situation?
I plead the fifth.
They ain't going to commit to
we have this ledger of people.
I got to ask the tough questions.
Yeah. I mean, hey, one of them was on your podcast, but I will say that there's so many that are very good that we do business with that,
Depends where you want to buy.
There you go. Good answer.
You want to buy in D.C.? I got a guy. You want to buy in Pennsylvania? I got a couple people.
Who wants to buy in D.C.? Nobody I know.
That's and he sells a shit ton of houses.
I'm sure he does.
That market is absolutely insane too. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Just what people are buying row homes for in DC is just stupid.
I know. I watch a lot of those shows, man, where these real estate guys are making a lot of money. It's probably not the real average of what people are making on stuff. So for somebody like my brother, for instance, he's in a position that you're in, Matt, where he's a nurse now. He's kind of seeing the shit side of it and doesn't really enjoy it so much. Are you constantly?
I feel like every industry has a shit side.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
But work is work, dude. Like,
no, but it's more than that when you're you're in an environment like nursing or police work where you're investing so much care into this specific thing, and then seeing a system that you thought worked a certain way not work that way, and there's something behind it. It's disheartening as shit, especially because most people get in that industry for a particular reason.
Yeah, you always start out thinking you can make this huge impact and like change something.
Yeah.
And that system is so like set in its ways that you can't make that. And I'll say this because I know your brother.
Yeah.
I was also a male nurse in a female-driven industry. Tim will recognize this. I'm semi outspoken. I might not be the best employee when it's, say, taking direction on certain things. So like when I would challenge the norm, not in a bad way, it would be, why do we do it this way? And expect to have a reasoning or some sort of data of why we do this. It would usually be, just shut up and go do your job.
Gunther's dealing with literally that exact situation and scenario right now.
Maybe there's not a better way.
Yeah.
But give me the reason, and then I can understand it. But if you're going to tell me that, well, then I'm always going to think there's something we could do better for this patient, this family, these nurses. And that was my challenge. I always I'm just a thinker. I think there's always some way to improve on things.
So when I first brought Jimmy on, he was Mr. Policeman, right? And if you're in healthcare, you're in law enforcement, whatever, you're there, you can make a difference. You're there, you're getting paid, but you're really there to make a difference in the community or whatever. I said, look, bud, you got numbers to hit, and the goal here is to make money. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Like, come to work with the mindset that you're here to make as much money as possible today. And it took him like just a few weeks, but it finally fucking clicked. Like,
I think my second day, I made a sale or something. I was really excited. I was like, dude, we're gonna make a lot of money on this. And he said, yeah, Jimmy, that's why I fucking wake up every morning to make money.
Why I come to work every day. That is your job now.
No,
to make money on every sale.
It definitely hit home with me for sure. But what I was getting at is are you constantly looking for more talent for sales in that position, and where would you tell them to start?
That's a great question. So me in particular, I think that we've hit a really good stride with our branch where I'm able to they can walk into my office, ask me a question, text me, call me, email me, and I can be the point man, and I can be of service to them as their manager. There comes a point where I have too many people working for me, and I would then have to have somebody in between us to kind of, maybe field some of those calls on my behalf. And then I'd be in a position where do I have the value I always have? So I want smart growth. If somebody kind of came knocking that I knew had the talent profile I'm looking for, I would take them on, but I'm not searching for that.
Okay.
We have 9 loan officers now.
It's a great spot to be in.
It's a great spot to be in. When I first started at First Home, 2017, I think we might have had 6 loan officers, but eventually we had the 4, what I call founding fathers, the 3 that preceded me that were kind of my mentors, and then me who kind of took over the branch. And we've added 4 or 5 really good young loan officers that have a good fire in their belly. And I'm just so focused on supporting them and making them better that it could be to the detriment of my own business, because I'm still doing loans. It's still what actually pays the bills is, my loans that I'm doing. But as long as I still have the capacity to help all of them, that's where I want to be. And I'm there right now. So I'm like in a really good spot.
How's that work with you managing that? Do you get a cut of what they sell too, or do you just get like a salary for being the branch manager?
No, we're compensated in a certain way.
To be like the manager there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We're you talk about a P&L and margin, there is a pie to be divvied out amongst managers.
Yeah.
And you get to decide basically how aggressive you want to be. If I were to take more, it would make his job more difficult, So we kind of have to look at the market and figure out, does the margin dictate more or less?
And he has responsibilities that none of the rest of us have that he deserves to be paid for.
Well, I'm assuming the job doesn't come with just more money and less responsibility.
Yeah, right? and he has to report. So if he sucked at his job and wasn't doing good, they would fire him. Like, he's got more on the line.
Now, is it part of under your threshold to kind of make sure you're holding other people accountable?
Oh yeah,
getting numbers.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't do it as often as maybe some other managers in our company. They just they want weekly reports and they want this, that, and the other. I can tell.
Fucking day.
I can tell by just somebody's activities and how often I see them. And in real time, I can see when they put a loan in or when they pull a credit report. I can tell when somebody's kind of regressing.
So when somebody's just not really in it for that week or two, you're like, hey man,
we have company wide weekly production reports. This is every branch, every loan officer, the whole East Coast, every week comes out, monthly, so on and so forth. You can see where you shake up against the rest of the company. Who do you compare yourself against? There's people at the top of our company that I'll never do as much business with. They crush it, right? Yeah. But if I'm on the same page as them on the report, that's where I should be. I know where I stand and what I expect to do, what I want to do. Tim doesn't police us by any means, but if somebody's struggling a little bit, he's there to help us. And
that's where I'm having trouble in my current role, is where I think where you're probably really good at doing what he does and selling mortgages. I think I'm really good at sales. Where I'm having trouble is taking away the time that it needs to be met to hit a quota and selling those numbers to then make sure that I have 5-6 people under me that are doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. And it's really, really hard for me because I'm like, just be a really good fucking salesman and we won't have to have any of these conversations. Just be really good at your fucking job.
Just do more, man.
Yeah.
That's also where scale is important to know, where we have a coaching program in our company. I'm a coach now, so we have a lot of resources for somebody that's struggling to then lean on to say, what am I doing wrong? What are some things that I can do to generate business? We have company-wide calls every now and then where somebody would be like, hey, I got an idea. We did an ice cream truck in our neighborhood. It cost me X. The realtor and I split it, and you go, okay, that's a good idea. Let me do that and try to generate business. So you get ideas from other places.
I get that, but I think that there's probably something to be said about you when you first started out, right? You had these ideas in your head and you went with them and you did them without somebody having you to tell you how to do them, et cetera. It's for business development, to find leads, et cetera. I'm sure he does it too. For me, that's like such a big part of being a salesman is being resourceful and figuring it out on your own. And I can't for the life of me understand why I can't get that through everybody's head.
I think you really, the main focus there is the foundation. If you can get someone to believe in your foundation and why you're successful,
I'm just really good looking, Matt.
Right. Well, I mean, there's plastic surgery these days. I know some surgeons.
Jimmy's like, look, man, more Starbucks and more push-ups.
Yeah. So, but if they
buy another gold chain, bro.
Yeah, fucking Rolexes.
I noticed you have the 3 milligrams in. Why don't we try 6?
Yeah, but the foundation of the business, if you can preach it and they'll listen and believe in you and of like why you're successful, we've all come from the same tree for the most part of in our business. Gary kind of more or less, Tim learned before he came to our company, but he learned a lot from Gary. Myself, we've all kind of called what we go through Gary Pierpont School. Before I even got in the mortgage industry, I was coming in on weekends while I was still a nurse, learning from Gary because I knew I had to get to this level quick to be successful. Coming from a job where I was making good money, had a kid on the way, just bought a new house that we were fully renovating, and COVID had happened. So I was like, holy shit, add one more thing. Let's add a new job where I took a role as Tim's assistant to be his assistant. Like I went from a 6-figure job to make $40,000.
I was in the same boat.
As a 30-year-old with a kid on the way.
Same boat.
And my wife's a teacher. And I'm like, hey babe, you're going to be the breadwinner. Like,
Bet on himself.
But this is, I believe it's going to work. I trust him. And I was his assistant for a year. I wasn't mentally ready to go out on my own. He kicked me out the door.
Yeah.
He said, you're ready. You got this. Go for it. And it just has kind of fallen into place.
Same. He gave me a lead my first day, and I didn't know a goddamn thing about it.
So, hey, man, go take some pictures and just be really nice.
Yeah, I
closed it.
He kind of did the same thing. I started July 1st, and I think he went on vacation the end of July, and I'm his assistant at that point. He's like, all right, man, you can handle the whole pipeline. And this was during the refi boom, so there's like 40 loans in his pipeline, and I still barely know how to spell mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's cool. I mean, I was in the same boat as literally everything you described, almost to like a T on the number of what I took a pay cut to be in this position of what I saw and what Gene gave me a chance to do. I don't think there's a lot of people willing to take a chance and bet on themselves. And then also, I'm just getting this vibe from everybody that we talk to that's successful. And I know your guys and I know your personality and everything. And you talk about people going to school to learn these particular crafts or whatever it may be to get in this industry. Whereas I think if you gave me a handful of people that I know that I hand selected right now and they have this certain thing about them that they're going to be successful, we can literally do anything.
Yeah.
So where people might be like, I don't think I could sell mortgages. I don't think I could sell construction. Like, dude, if you have this thing, this inner personality where you can talk to people and you're even moderately, motivated to make money, like you can probably do most things.
Yeah. I think the guy that now I answer to, our president, he was a pro lacrosse player, played at Hopkins with Rabel, and he'll tell you time and time again, athletes, if you have a competitive nature about you and you can be coachable and you can be beaten down and get back up again, that's the type of person I want to work for. It's not the only person, but that's a good place to start for sure.
The best people, or the most successful people that I've dealt with have been even clients, man. They were prior sports guys or whatever, but they all have this same intangible thing that I just can't, you can't really put a finger on one particular characteristic about it, but it just seems to be a common theme amongst people that I see that are successful. So I think like, not that anybody's looking for a self-help book, listen to this podcast, but like if somebody's stuck in like a shitty situation where you're like, I hate this job, you can probably do a hell of a lot more than you think you can.
Absolutely. You just need somebody that's going to believe in you, give you the opportunity. Yeah. You know, when Matt, I could tell he's kind of frustrated with his career. I said, listen, man, the downside to this is that pay cut piece, but I promise you I will get you to the point where this is going to be a great career for you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think
I didn't say that to Jimmy.
No, you did, but you
I said, hey, man, this is a pretty shitty job.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
But he trusted you.
You're probably going to fail.
He saw, but you knew that's what he needed.
No.
That was even if you did say it, that's probably the motivation.
Honestly,
style.
I think one of the first things I said was like, dude, just you're a buddy, and I'm going to give you a job. Just don't put me in a spot where I have to fucking fire you.
Yeah. But also, I think probably what also makes you even more successful, Matt, is probably makes me more successful is that I work for my friend. It is his company. It is what he pays his bills with. It is how he takes care of his family. So there is a more pride piece. Like, we've already burnt the boats 10,000 times over again. And then for me to add on to the thing, like, dude, if we fail, like I'm fucking Gene and Carly and my friends over and somebody's been a friend for 20 years, like it can't happen. You just have to win.
Yeah.
That's the same for me, right? Like it puts me in a position where I have to put myself on a professional level to provide you a workplace where you can make money and grow, and like you got to have fucking goals and ambitions, right? And that's the type of people you want on your team, dude, for sure. Like,
Yeah,
you don't want people that are content.
We're fortunate. Our office has a great kind of like what's become more or less like a family, right? And
I don't know everybody in your office, but the people I do know are all younger, like our age.
Who else?
you know,
Who else do
which
you
is
guys
cool.
have that we know?
so we'll start with this. Everybody's from Calvert County, which is
Okay.
kind of wild.
That's cool.
And we span the different generations of where people are at the home buying lifespan.
Yeah.
The original guys, we've got Gary Pierpont, Jeff Halbert, and Sean Pierpont. Sean and Gary are brothers.
Shout out Miles Halbert.
Miles Halbert.
Yeah. All met. Leader in receiving yards, state record.
Yeah, state record.
Where'd he play?
yards.
Northern.
Single season and career.
When?
He's just graduating this year.
Oh, okay.
But
So those are I call the founding fathers, Sean, Gary, and Jeff, and then I came along, and then we kind of flipped to this, let's grow younger. Started with Matt, Emily Johnson, Haley. Haley started the same time as Matt,
Yeah, we started
like
exactly
COVID
the same
time.
Yeah.
Matt was coming from an operating room, bringing COVID into our office. Thanks a lot, Matt. But they learned at the same time under Gary. And then we have Tim Hand, that was our assistant, played baseball at St. Mary's. And then
Huntingtown baseball guy too.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, and then our newest hire, Angelica. So we have really good young people that they have the fire in the belly that I couldn't measure from the get-go, but I could tell they have it.
Yeah, isn't that cool to be in the position that we're in now, where you can do that, and you can see your friends that might be in like shitty industries where you can make a bunch of money, and you'd be like, dude, you have the intangibles. Like I have a couple of friends that that are in that where I'm like, I'm just chomping at the bit. I'm like, come on over, buddy. I'll use you tomorrow.
Yeah.
So and Angelica's Bobby Brown's little sister.
Oh,
Yes.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
So Bobby does a lot of business, real estate, and Angelica
Yeah.
gets a good portion of
I
it.
saw he bought Aritas.
He bought a Rita's La Plata location. Yep. Does a lot of flips. And so when you have somebody like Haley, whose mom is a legend in this area real estate wise, and Angelica's like, all right, so I have this family member that's in real estate. There's this assumption of nepotism. That's the only real estate outlet that I care about. How do I learn to get outside business? Haley's a perfect example of that. Like she learned how to sell herself, not the Stuckler name, while still having the Stuckler name, and Patty and John still do a lot of business, and Connor's crushing it. So
I was gonna ask
shout
how
out to
Connor's
them.
doing. He's
They
cool.
do so well. But Haley learned how to kind of be in that, but also separate herself at the same time. So Angelica came here to learn that playbook. Like how do I learn to be Bobby's sister, but also be my own entity? Yeah. It's Haley's done a hell of a job to do it. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very awesome.
Yeah, man, it's good stuff. It's awesome to see people our age and like from our community and from school doing so well, man. So
Yeah, I went on a golfing trip this year with a bunch of our friends, and I was like, wow, dude.
yeah.
We weren't complete fuck ups like they thought we were going to be.
Everybody's grown ups now.
Yeah. And we all have kids.
Or at least we pretend to be.
I have three. You have two,
Three.
three,
Too.
two. I mean, we all have kids. So like, we're at this part of our lives where making money is obviously very important, but I also love to be able to take my kids to practice and all these different things. So it's a give and take. And the people I do business with understand that, like, when push comes to shove, I have a different priority here. So I think that having conversations with these people to set those boundaries, like, listen, I will answer your text in the evening and work on the weekends, but there's going to be kids screaming in the background.
Yeah.
And if things get a little bit too difficult to juggle these two, you know which one I'm going to pick.
Yeah, I took a call this weekend at a cheerleading competition in our hotel room with 3 screaming kids, and I was just like, "Look, I got time for the call. I got time for you as my client. There's going to be screaming kids in the background. It is
People
what
respect it.
Yeah, they do.
They do. Yeah,
They do. And in working for him, he has the same mindset where it's like family first, as in your kids. We're not talking about like your 8th grandmother down the line dies 6 times a year. Like, we're not taking off work for that. But like, if you got kid stuff, man, like, he's never once questioned me taking off my kid shit.
What anybody's ever. If you have your shit together, like if you're hitting numbers and schedule's full, and if everything's good, do your thing, dude. Like,
yeah. There's a really good podcast. Big Cat did it with A-Rod a few years ago, and they interviewed Kobe before he died. And Kobe had that publishing company, and he basically said, "Listen, there's people that are here every single day, and they do shit work. There's other people that I never see, and they do great work. I don't care where you are, what you're doing. As long as the work is good, you're fine by me."
Since I got here, he's never questioned where I was one day.
I told Jimmy, I said, Jimmy, if you're hitting and exceeding your sales quotas, I don't give a shit if you're sending me the shit in emails from Key West, bro.
Yeah.
If you can sit on Key West, if you can figure out how to do that, I don't care.
Yeah.
I had a big day at Hershey Park. I took the kids to Hershey Park, and I had a big sales day. And he literally said again, he's like, "Go to Hershey Park every fucking day if you want. If you hit these numbers, like, I don't care what you do."
They always say you want to be busy, go on vacation.
Yeah. That's saying our business. If your business is slow, take a vacation.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So
And I like doing it. I like doing the sales and stuff. I mean, I would imagine that there's probably something tied into that. He's got it too. I know you guys probably got it. So it's like, I am very addicted to the close. Like, when the close happens, I don't care from the time I started to the time I close. If it's a $3,000 job or a $250,000 job, I obviously get more excited for the other one. But still, I get that little hit of satisfaction. Like, fuck yeah, I got another one.
There's a dopamine to it. Yeah.
Just trying to outproduce the people in my office at this point. Like,
I love competition sales too.
If I can beat Haley and beat Tim at one point in my career, I'll be
Said
successful.
if. Did you hear if?
I haven't gotten there.
You haven't beat him yet.
I'm the new guy on the totem pole. But
hear
last year
excuses.
I had an opportunity.
Gene
And
McKenzie's always on. I'm always up there at top sales of the whole company.
Yeah. So
I'm still a salesman.
You've got some good ones. You've definitely had some really good ones. I mean, like I said in the beginning, it's hard to not say I quit, because I know me and him could absolutely fucking kill it if it was literally just me and him selling work.
The hard
You
part
can't
what
grow
we're
like
doing
that.
is scaling it without like having that corporate package.
So-
like
so-
it is hard to
So
do.
what's the next division of McKenzie Contracting?
I don't know, man.
I think we're going to get really, really good at what we're already doing and get the numbers to be exactly where they need to be, and everything running a little bit smoother around here, because we've added crews, we're doing more work, we're doing more volume, but the internals of the office the infrastructure hasn't caught up. So me, him, and Robbie are still ripping our hair
So
out.
everybody's just working harder to try to keep up, right?
Yeah.
So like right now, I'm in the process of trying to put systems in place, systems and processes, and we're projecting growth for 25. Right?
And we've already been
And
growing,
we'll
growing,
hit those
growing.
numbers, but I need to be able to do it efficiently
Without
where
us,
people aren't working 65-hour weeks and
Whenever you're
shit's
ready-
not breaking down every 2 days. Like it's like we got to figure out the systems in the inside of that.
Whenever you're ready to get into the disposal world, you let me know.
So-
I want to be a trash truck guy.
So the disposal thing is actually,
It's tough, man.
well, we get killed.
Trucking's
We
hard.
get killed in disposal. I mean, it is like, it's a big part of when I see a green folder, a red folder, typically ones that are red that didn't make money or we lost money, it's disposal. It comes down to disposal, dumping, trucking fees. It's a huge, huge part of our industry that like you got to have real estate. You got to have the real estate to put the shit. That's the biggest thing for sure. I think the next way we're going to go though is going to be kind of targeting a higher end overall package of a full transformation of like a backyard, et cetera, like tying all of our services into one: trees, grading, land clearing, retaining walls, patios, but like tying it all into one and advertising as such.
Yeah, so you don't have to sub it out, or they don't have to sub it out. You could do it all. I mean, a one-stop shop is often what people want.
Yep.
You know, I want to talk to one person, Gene. I trust them. I recognize that logo. Tell me what I need to pay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
No doubt, man. What about you guys? What's the next step for y'all? Just
Well, I'll say for me, it's getting to a point where I can really service the real estate agents that I do business with in a way that I don't always have to be available. Delegating is my biggest issue. I want to do it all, and I'm spread thin because of it. And if I look at that email at 3:00 on a Saturday and I go, I have to do this, and it doesn't get done till Sunday morning, that's my fault. Versus having somebody in a secondary Tim, they can say, listen, I want this done right away, and I want to do it the right way for this person. I'm just so bad at delegating. So it's one of my goals for 2025 is to find a way to delegate better.
It's hard though, because you have a standard in which you would do it.
I know. I'm bad at it.
I just read Buy Back Your Time. It's a good book. You should check it out.
Yeah, I'll check it out for sure.
If you can hire somebody to do a job at least 80% as good as you can do it, it's worth hiring that person.
I had it. He was right here. Yeah. But I knew that he was too good. So you have to find that. And we have a very good person that is helping me out right now, but I split her services with Haley. And I want her to focus on Haley.
And we had an assistant that we shared when I went out on my own who was really good too. But eventually, a lot of times, those people want to do their own thing, right? So
now he's out on his own. So it's about backfilling. I haven't backfilled that individual yet.
So leading into that, I was kind of prefaced it earlier, but what would you say to the 23 to 25-year-old who wants to make a career change? Like, pitch him on coming to mortgage.
I mean,
where do they start? What do they do?
You're talking about people that are really ingrained in their community here. So if you're here, you come and talk to us, I guarantee you can find a connection that I knew your dad or your cousin or your brother or whatever, and that's a nice little warm lead. If you want to get into this industry, it can only be OJT on job training. You can't read a book and learn how to do this. Yeah. So you have to kind of buy your time. You have to be Archie Manning under Quinn Ewers to establish that foundation.
I got killed in that game. I got absolutely killed in that game. Go ahead.
I mean, he's Archie freaking Manning.
I know.
Right? But he sees the value of sitting and learning. If he can, because he probably has Peyton and Eli and his dad Cooper that's like, listen, these couple of years are going to be valuable to you, and then you're going to go crush it. Mm-hmm. We need Archie Mannings, the people that have the talent that are just going to be sponges. You have to be able to sit there and be a sponge. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think as much as we the growth is that, like training and getting people to follow the model, we'd love to have an assistant that would want to be an assistant for the next 20 years. They're even harder to come by.
Yeah.
Because most people that get in the business want the upward growth. They want to work. So.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that. I always say that we could very well go out and hire people that have been at other companies, but they're going to demand so much more to come here. You have to coerce them. A lot of times that's money. We've never done that at First Home. It's build through the draft. We don't go into free agency to find talent. We build through the draft. It's like, come here, be an assistant for 2 years, go be a loan officer. Here's an example of it, and we have several more in our office. It's like, listen, you're going to buy your time, but you're going to be very good when you go out to do it, and you're going to make a great living. So the pitch is easy from my perspective. It's just about young people, whether or not they expect to make really good money right off the bat. I feel like there's a generation behind us that expect a little too much. Mm-hmm. So if they're willing to take that on for a couple of years,
that's crazy to think about too. Because Matt brought it up earlier. I mean, like, I'm comfortable saying it, dude. When I first started here, like, I had an opportunity and I saw what was ahead of me. I started for nothing, for really nothing. But I saw what it was going to be. I don't know that's a dying breed, dude. I don't know that you have that anymore.
It is. You got to be able to see the forest for the trees. Like, I'm going to buy my time, but eventually I'm going to be glad that I did it.
I try to pitch it to guys here all the time. Like, do you not realize what you have? You are in on the ground floor of something that's going to explode right now. You're probably not as qualified.
You don't find that anywhere else, you know? So to learn from the two of you there's a lot of value there.
I'm still learning stuff from him every day.
I think that's like, if I can pull on anything, I mean, like, I am college educated, right? Like, I went to a liberal arts school. I went to school to be a doctor, right? But I can pull from that experience. And even though, like, my actual foundation of, like, education is not what I'm doing now, I went through some, like, pretty tough courses, like tough stuff where I'm like, man, that was hard, but this shit's easy compared to that.
Or, I say the same thing about police work, bro.
Look back at something from perspective wise, or, my big one is, like, I did surgery, I did trauma. Like, we did a lot of crazy stuff. Like, people aren't trying to die. I'm helping people buy houses and they're genuinely pretty happy. In most cases, they didn't want to see me because they got shot or stabbed or had cancer, so it's a happier, positive time.
I was tased and OC sprayed,
Yeah, I was tell people all the time, like, guys, look, no one's dying, no one's getting shot at. We're not fighting a bad guy with a gun right now. Like,
Yeah,
let's figure it out.
He always, like, when he first started, he was like, man, it's nice to just talk to people during the day that aren't complete shitheads. He's like, they're just normal people that want some work done, you know? Like, yeah, man.
I'm not telling you to fuck off and throwing stuff at you. It's nice.
The bad part is though, we still need those people. So it's like, okay, you know, we don't want to broadcast this to the wrong people, and then all of a sudden there's no nurses and police officers left over.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
tough.
think my son says police officer all the time. I'm like, nope, you will be a firefighter. Not doing the shit.
Yeah.
Cool. What?
Guys, I want to go ahead and wrap this up, man. I mean, do you guys have anything you want to end on?
No,
or any-
we could talk to you guys for hours and hours and hours, man. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I'll just speak on behalf of First Home. It's like we are so grassroots. This was right up our alley because you built the same way. You're in the community. We drive by your logo, Route 4 every single day, and so this is. I mean, it's probably a long time coming for us to be on here. So we appreciate you having us.
Yeah, no doubt, man.
I think we need to do more, like maybe a quarterly update on rates or something where we can just get in here and talk about what makes sense for
Yeah.
people.
I mean, our office is right there, so we'd love to do this a little bit more often.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Right on. Well, guys, thanks for coming, man. It's been a pleasure.
And
Thanks, fellas.
where do we get you on Instagram?
Loans with Tim.
Map Baden Mortgage.
Yeah.
Hit 'em up, guys.
We'll see you out at Can Club.
Yeah.
See y'all. See you up. See you, fella.